An MMA fighter insults a war veteran in the ring, viciously beating the 68-year-old Purple Heart recipient during what was supposed to be a charity exhibition. The young champion kicks the veteran's wounded leg and spits on his military medal, while live streaming the humiliation to millions. But the old janitor mopping ringside isn't just cleaning floors. This is Jackie Chan, and he's about to teach this punk why you never disrespect a war hero. The arrogant fighter laughs as he grinds the Purple Heart under his boot, not realizing he's being watched by a man who spent 50 years perfecting the art of destroying bullies with a smile. When the janitor drops his mop and climbs through those ropes, the champion's smirk vanishes as recognition dawns. The entire arena gasps as the legend removes his coveralls, ready to deliver a lesson in respect that will be broadcast to the world. What happens when a fake fighter meets a real warrior? Can the punk survive what's coming? What happened next would terrorize the MMA champion for the rest of his pathetic existence. Before we jump back and tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The Phoenix Veterans Memorial Coliseum parking lot sat empty, except for a few scattered cars when the beat-up Honda Civic pulled into the service entrance at 5:45 a.m. An elderly Asian man climbed out, moving with the careful precision of someone who'd learned that rushing only led to mistakes. He grabbed his worn thermos from the passenger seat and headed for the employee entrance. "Morning, Mr. Chan," Marcus Washington called from his security desk. The big man's smile was genuine despite the early hour. "Coffee's fresh if you want some." "Thank you, Marcus." The janitor's English came out thick with accent. "I bring tea today. Good for old bones." Marcus chuckled. "Ain't that the truth? Big event tonight. Some MMA fighter taking on one of our Vietnam vets for charity." "Ah," Chan nodded, pulling on his gray coveralls. "I make sure everything very clean." The arena stretched out before him like a cathedral of empty seats. Chan began his routine, pushing his mop bucket across the polished concrete floors. His movements held an odd grace, each stroke of the mop deliberate and balanced. To anyone watching, he might have been practicing some form of meditation rather than cleaning floors. By 7 a.m., the setup crew arrived, struggling with heavy equipment platforms. Chan watched two young men strain against a steel frame that needed positioning near the ring. "Here," he said quietly, appearing beside them. "Use corner, not middle. Like this." He demonstrated, using the frame's weight against itself. The platform slid into place with minimal effort. "Damn, old-timer," one of the workers said. "Where'd you learn that?" Chan smiled. "Long time ago. Different job." He returned to his mopping, humming an old Cantonese folk song his grandmother had taught him. The melody echoed softly through the empty arena. When the ring assembly began, he paid particular attention, noting how the crew tightened the ropes, tested the canvas tension. His eyes tracked every detail with an intensity that seemed excessive for a janitor. During his break, Chan sat in the upper stands with his small container of rice and vegetables. He ate slowly, watching the arena transform below. The ring stood complete now, waiting for tonight's event. Something in his expression shifted, a flicker of memory perhaps, of other rings in other places. "Mr. Chan," someone called. "Can you get the VIP section? Mr. Garrett wants it spotless." Of course. He gathered his things, joints moving smoothly despite his age. Everything be perfect tonight. In the VIP bathroom, Chan found himself alone. He set down his mop and stretched, arms flowing through. Movements that looked like Tai Chi but held hints of something more. His reflection in the mirror showed a man of 70, face lined with years of laughter and struggle. But his eyes remained sharp, alert. He rolled his shoulders, twisted his spine, extended his legs in slow kicks that reached higher than any 70-year-old janitor should manage. Each movement was precise, controlled. Speaking of decades of practice, the bathroom door opened. Another janitor peered in. "Chan, you okay? Looked like you were having a seizure or something." "Ah, sorry." Chan immediately hunched back into his custodial posture. Old man stretches. "Back very sore today. Tell me about it. Gonna be a long night with all these crowds." Chan nodded, returning to his mop. But for just a moment, his reflection had shown something else entirely, a warrior's bearing that no coveralls could fully hide. Tonight would indeed be long, though perhaps not in the way anyone expected. The convoy of luxury vehicles announced itself with roaring engines and squealing tires at 2:30 p.m. A yellow Lamborghini led the pack, its custom paint job gleaming under the Arizona sun. The door lifted skyward, and Brock, the destroyer, Kelly emerged like a peacock displaying its feathers. "We're live, baby," he shouted at his phone, already streaming. The destroyer has arrived at Veterans Memorial, ready to show these old-timers what real fighting looks like. His entourage spilled from the other vehicles. Manager Tony Russo barking into his phone, trainer Mike Pitbull Santana carrying gear bags, and a collection of yes-men filming every moment. Kelly spotted the old janitor cleaning near the VIP entrance. His eyes lit up with cruel amusement. "Yo, check this out," he told his camera. "Looks like Mr. Miyagi's grandfather missed the memo about retirement." He affected an exaggerated accent. "Me so sorry. Me clean floor for big, strong fighter." The janitor looked up briefly, smiled, and continued mopping. His lack of reaction seemed to irritate Kelly more than anger would have. "Hey, old man, you deaf?" Kelly stepped closer, his Jordan sneakers deliberately scuffing the freshly cleaned floor. "I'm talking to you." "Yes, sir." Chan's voice remained pleasant. "I cleaned this again, no problem." Tony Russo grabbed Kelly's arm. "Come on, champ. We got media waiting." Inside the arena, Kelly's demands began immediately. The temperature wasn't right. Needed to be exactly 68 degrees. The lighting was too bright, then too dim. The water bottles weren't the brand he'd specified. "This is Bush League," he complained loudly. "I'm a world champion, not some bar fighter. Get it right." Bill Garrett, the event coordinator, maintained his professional smile through gritted teeth. "Of course, Mr. Kelly. We'll handle everything." Sean appeared with his mop bucket, working around the chaos. Kelly noticed him again and grinned. "Perfect. Hey, Pitbull, watch this." He grabbed a protein shake from his bag and accidentally spilled it across the floor. "Oops. Better clean that up, Janitor San." Sean nodded, moving to clean the spill. Kelly wasn't satisfied. "Nah, you missed a spot." He pointed to clean floor. "Right there." Sean dutifully mopped where directed. "Still see it. Must be these old eyes of yours." Kelly's crew laughed on cue. "Try again." For 5 minutes, Kelly made the old man clean the same spotless section while his crew filmed. Sean never complained, never showed frustration. But when Kelly turned away to boast to his followers, something flickered in the janitor's eyes, a hardness that appeared and vanished like lightning. "Make sure my merchandise is set up right," Kelly ordered his team. "I want those destroying grandpas since 2020 shirts front and center. This charity thing is great PR." Tony counted imaginary money. "We'll move 10,000 easy. These military types love their souvenirs." Mike Santana pulled out hand wraps and began preparing Kelly's gear with the reverence of a knight's squire. Everything had to be perfect for the destroyer: the image, the brand, the carefully cultivated persona of invincibility. "What time's the old man showing up?" Kelly asked. "Earl Kowalski should be here by 4, Garrett answered. "Earl?" Kelly laughed. "What kind of name is Earl? Sounds like someone's grandfather." He looked directly at Sean. "Actually, that's exactly what he is. Just another grandfather about to learn why they call me the Destroyer." Sean continued mopping, humming his quiet tune. But his grip on the mop handle had shifted slightly, the way a swordsman might adjust his hold before a duel. The 1995 Ford pickup truck looked out of place among the luxury vehicles, like an honest man at a liar's convention. Earl Kowalski turned off the engine and sat for a moment, hand unconsciously rubbing his left thigh where the shrapnel still lived after all these years. "You good, Earl?" Bobby Martinez asked from the passenger seat. "Always good, brother." Earl grabbed his gym bag, the Purple Heart and Vietnam service ribbons catching the afternoon light on his collar. "Let's go make some money for the troops." Unlike Kelly's grand entrance, Earl walked through the service door with a simple nod to Marcus Washington. "Afternoon, Marcus. How's the family?" "Can't complain. Grandkids are keeping me young." Marcus stood to shake hands. "Glad you're doing this, Earl. Means a lot to the community." "Happy to help." Earl moved through the arena like he belonged there, which in a way he did. Places like this, where men tested themselves, had been his world since he was 18. He noticed the janitor struggling with an overloaded trash bin near the loading dock. "Here, let me get that." Earl grabbed one side without being asked. Together they maneuvered the bin to the dumpster. The old janitor's strength surprised Earl. The man hardly seemed to strain despite his age. "Thank you," Sean said, studying Earl with interest. "No problem. We look out for each other, right?" Something passed between them. Recognition, perhaps, not of faces, but of shared experience. Men who'd carried heavier burdens than trash bins. "Earl, come on," Bobby called. "Need to go over the game plan." In the makeshift locker room, Earl sat on a worn bench while Bobby wrapped his hands. The younger man talked strategy, but Earl's mind drifted to a hill in Vietnam where strategy had meant staying alive for the next minute. "You listening to me?" Bobby asked. "This kid's dangerous. 23 knockouts in 25 fights. It's an exhibition, Bobby. 3 rounds of light sparring. You seen his YouTube videos? Kid doesn't do light anything." Earl flexed his wrapped hands. "I've dealt with worse than some showboat with a mohawk. That was 50 years ago, Earl. 49. And I haven't forgotten anything that matters." He pulled out a faded photograph. From his wallet, 6 young men in jungle fatigues, arms around each other's shoulders, grinning despite the hell surrounding them. Only 3 had made it home. "This ain't about me," Earl said quietly. "It's about them. About all of us who made it back and those who didn't. If taking a few punches from some punk raises money for wounded warriors, then that's what I do." Bobby sighed. "Just be careful, okay? Annie would haunt my ass if I let you get hurt." Earl smiled at the mention of his late wife. "Annie always said I had a harder head than sense. Guess we'll find out." As they made their way to the ring area, Earl noticed the janitor again, now mopping near ringside with particular attention to the corner posts. The old man moved with an economy of motion Earl recognized, someone who'd learned not to waste energy. "Excuse me," Earl said. "You need us to move?" Sean looked up, that same studying expression. "No, sir. You get ready. I work around." "You a vet?" Earl asked suddenly, not sure why. The janitor's smile was enigmatic. "Different kind of service?" "Long time ago." Earl nodded, understanding the desire for privacy. Some stories weren't meant for sharing. He headed for the ring, testing the ropes, feeling the familiar give of the canvas under his feet. His left leg protested, as always, but held steady. In a few hours, this ring would hold crowds cheering for blood disguised as charity. Earl had seen enough real blood to last several lifetimes. But if playing the part of honored veteran meant more kids got prosthetic limbs or counseling, then he'd play it perfectly. The janitor continued his work below, watching Earl's movements with professional interest. 2 old warriors preparing for battle in very different ways. The Phoenix Veterans Memorial Coliseum had transformed by 7 p.m. What had been an empty arena now throbbed with energy as 2,500 people filled. The seats, red, white, and blue bunting decorated every surface. Local politicians gave speeches about supporting those who served while carefully avoiding any specific policy commitments. Backstage, Earl sat quietly while Bobby applied Vaseline to his eyebrows and cheekbones. "Remember, it's just an exhibition," Bobby repeated like a mantra. Earl looked at the photo one more time before tucking it safely in Bobby's jacket pocket. "Keep that safe for me." "Always do." Meanwhile, Kelly's preparation room looked like a UFC title fight was about to commence. Mike Santana wrapped his hands with methodical precision while a cut man checked his supplies. Kelly shadowboxed, his movements sharp and violent. 3 rounds of playing with Grandpa, Kelly said between combinations. "Try not to embarrass him too bad in the first round. Build the drama. Just remember the contract," Tony warned. "This is exhibition only. No ground and pound. No elbows, no. I know what I'm doing." Kelly's grin held no warmth. "Trust me, everyone's gonna get their money's worth." At 7:45, the janitor finished his final rounds, positioning his mop bucket in an unobtrusive corner near the ring apron. He'd cleaned this spot 3 times already, but no one questioned an old man's thoroughness. The announcer, a local radio personality in an ill-fitting tuxedo, grabbed the microphone as the lights dimmed. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Fight for Heroes. Tonight's exhibition match features 2 warriors from different generations, coming together to support our wounded veterans." Police sirens wailed through the sound system as red and blue lights flashed. Introducing first, from Chicago, Illinois, standing 6'2" and weighing 205 pounds, with a professional record of 15 wins, all by knockout, Brock the Destroyer Kelly. Kelly emerged through smoke and pyrotechnics, arms raised in premature victory. His custom robe sparkled with LED lights spelling out Destroyer across the back. He shadowboxed his way to the ring, throwing combinations that whistled through the air. The music shifted to a respectful orchestral piece. And his opponent, from Detroit, Michigan, standing 5'10" and weighing 185 pounds, a Purple Heart recipient and Golden Gloves champion, Iron Earl Kowalski. Earl walked out to warm applause. No theatrics, no pretense. He wore a simple blue robe with U.S. Army on the back. Veterans throughout the crowd stood and saluted. Earl nodded to them, touched his hand to his heart. In acknowledgement, referee Jerome Williams, himself a former champion, called both men to the center. "Gentlemen, we've gone over the rules. This is an exhibition match, touch sparring only. I want a clean, respectful demonstration of the sweet science. Touch gloves, and let's give these folks a good show." Earl extended his gloves. Kelly smashed them harder than necessary, grinning at Earl's slight wince. "Hope you stretched, Grandpa." The bell rang. Kelly exploded forward with a jab that snapped Earl's head back like a whip. The crowd gasped. That was no exhibition punch. Earl stumbled, more from surprise than damage. "Come on, ref," Bobby shouted from the corner. Jerome stepped between them. "Kelly, I said touch sparring." "That was a touch." Kelly's smile widened. "Not my fault the old man can't take a love tap." Earl regained his footing, raising his gloves. His stance was textbook 1960s boxing. Left foot forward, hands high, chin tucked. Kelly circled him like a shark sensing blood. The next combination came fast. Jab, cross, hook to the body. Earl managed to block the first two, but the hook found his ribs. Air rushed from his lungs. "That's it, baby." Kelly played to the cameras. The Destroyers in the building. Near ringside, the janitor's knuckles had gone white around his mop handle. His eyes tracked every movement, reading angles and intentions with disturbing precision. Whatever was happening in that ring, it had stopped being an exhibition the moment the bell rang. The crowd's energy shifted from excitement to unease as round one continued. What they'd come to see, a friendly exhibition between generations, had devolved into a systematic beating. Kelly's leg kick caught Earl's left thigh with a sickening crack. The old injury screamed in protest as Earl's knee buckled. He grabbed the ropes to stay upright while Kelly strutted around the ring, arms raised. "See that?" Kelly shouted at his corner's camera. "That's why they call me the Destroyer." 15 knockouts, about to be 16. Jerome Williams stepped between them again. "Kelly, I'm warning you." "Warning me about what?" Kelly spread his arms innocently. "We're sparring." "Not my fault Grandpa can't keep up." Earl pushed off the ropes, limping now, but still game. His left jab flicked out, catching Kelly's attention more than his chin. The younger fighter laughed. "That's cute. My turn." The combination that followed was pure MMA. A boxing blast followed by a clinch, then dirty boxing on the inside. Kelly's elbow accidentally caught Earl's eyebrow, opening a small cut. When Jerome moved to separate them, Kelly threw a knee that found Earl's liver. Earl dropped to one knee, body rebelling against the punishment. The crowd had gone silent, except for angry muttering from the veteran sections. 1, 2, 3. Jerome counted, glaring at Kelly. Bobby Martinez screamed from the corner. "Stop the fight. This ain't what we agreed to." But Earl was already rising, warrior's pride, overcoming common sense. At 8, he stood fully, nodding to continue. "Tough old bastard," Kelly acknowledged. "Let's see how tough." The final 30 seconds of round 1 became target practice. Kelly's kicks found that damaged leg repeatedly. His punches snapped Earl's head back and forth. An uppercut in the clinch sent blood from Earl's nose spraying across the canvas. When the bell finally rang, Earl limped back to his corner on pure instinct. Bobby immediately went to work on the cuts, ice on the leg, trying to salvage something from this disaster. "We're done," Bobby said. "I'm throwing in the towel." "No." Earl's voice came out thick through the blood. "I've been hurt worse. This isn't Vietnam, Earl. You don't have to prove anything." "Maybe I do." Earl spat blood into the bucket. "Maybe we all do." Across the ring, Kelly lounged in his corner like a king holding court. Mike Santana massaged his shoulders while Tony Russo calculated pay-per-view numbers on his phone. "Beautiful work," Mike said. Another round like that, and nothing, Kelly interrupted. I'm just getting warmed up. The ring announcer looked uncomfortable as he grabbed the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, please remember this is an exhibition for charity. His words fell on deaf ears. The crowd sensed blood in the water now. Some called for the fight to stop. Others, caught up in the spectacle, wanted to see how far Kelly would go. Earl sat on his stool, looking every one of his 68 years. Blood ran from his nose despite Bobby's efforts. His left eye had started to swell. The leg that had carried two brothers to safety in 1969 could barely support his weight now. Why are you doing this to yourself? Bobby pleaded. Earl's answer was simple, because I'm still here. The janitor set down his mop with deliberate precision. His shuffling gait carried him closer to the ring apron, ostensibly checking something beneath the canvas. But his eyes never left the fighters. Round two's bell rang like a funeral toll. Earl stood because that's what warriors do. Kelly rose like an executioner who enjoyed his work. The slaughter was about to continue, and somewhere in the old janitor's patient expression, a decision was being made. Round two opened with Kelly abandoning any pretense of exhibition rules. He stalked forward, cutting off the ring, herding Earl into corners where escape became impossible. The damaged leg made Earl's footwork sluggish, each step a victory against pain. Where you going, war hero? Kelly taunted, throwing jabs that Earl could see coming but couldn't avoid. Thought you army boys never retreated. Earl tried to establish his jab, but Kelly's head movement made him look antiquated. The younger fighter slipped punches with casual arrogance, then countered with shots that found every gap in Earl's defense. A vicious combination. Hook to the body, uppercut to the chin, sent Earl stumbling into the ropes. Kelly followed, pinning him there with shoulders and elbows while Jerome Williams tried futilely to separate them. Break! Break! The referee shouted. Kelly stepped back just far enough to throw a knee that caught Earl in the ribs. The crowd heard the impact, saw Earl's face contort in agony. Several veterans stood to leave, unable to watch anymore. This is bullshit, someone yelled from the crowd. Tony Russo noticed the crowd's shifting mood and signaled Kelly to ease up. But the destroyer was beyond caring about public relations. He smelled blood, weakness, everything he'd built his reputation on crushing. Between combinations, Kelly noticed Earl's purple heart gleaming on Bobby's corner stool. His eyes lit up with cruel inspiration. You know what? Kelly said loud enough for the cameras. I don't even think that medal's real. Probably bought it at a pawn shop. He grabbed Earl in a clinch, using his weight advantage to muscle the older man around. What did you really do in Nam, Earl? Peel potatoes? Type reports. Earl's response was a left hook that actually landed, snapping Kelly's head sideways. For a moment, the arena erupted in hope. Kelly touched his lip, saw blood, and his playful cruelty transformed into genuine anger. You just fucked up, old man. The beating that followed was methodical. Kelly's shin found Earl's thigh with surgical precision. His hands targeted the cuts above Earl's eyes, opening them wider. When Earl tried to clinch for safety, Kelly spun him around and threw him to the canvas. Oops. Kelly raised his hands innocently as Jerome warned him again. These old guys, they just fall down sometimes. Earl struggled to rise, left leg barely functional. Blood ran into his eyes from the cuts. His breathing came in ragged gasps. That suggested rib damage. Stay down, Earl. Bobby screamed. Please, just stay down. But Earl Kowalski had never stayed down in his life. He'd gotten up on Hill 875 with shrapnel in his leg. He'd gotten up when the doctors said he'd never walk normal again. He'd gotten up when Annie died and the world went dark that he beat the count at 9. Swaying, but vertical. That's when Kelly noticed the purple heart sitting unguarded on the corner stool. The round was nearly over, just enough time for one more. Humiliation. Kelly feinted a punch, then dove past Earl toward the corner. His hands closed around the metal, lifting it high for everyone to see. Look at this, he shouted. This is what they give out for losing. The bell rang to end the round, but Kelly wasn't done. He held the medal between his fingers, pretending to examine it like a jeweler with fake diamonds. I bet he got this for burning shit in the latrines. Some hero. The arena erupted in boos. Beer cups flew toward the ring. Security moved to the barriers as veterans throughout the crowd stood in fury. Earl reached for his medal with trembling hands. Give it back. Please. Kelly laughed, tossed the Purple Heart to the canvas, and deliberately stepped on it with his heel, grinding it into the mat. Near ringside, the janitor set down his mop with movements that had gone beyond deliberate to ceremonial. His shuffle transformed into purposeful strides as he approached the ring apron. Whatever patience had kept him cleaning floors had just run out. The janitor's hands found the ropes with surprising familiarity. One fluid motion carried him between the middle and top rope. No hesitation, no struggle, just the muscle memory of someone who'd entered thousands of rings. Kelly stood over the crushed Purple Heart, still playing to his corner's cameras. This is what happens when, excuse me, the soft voice cut through the chaos. The janitor knelt beside Earl with medical precision, fingers checking pulse points, examining pupils, palpating ribs with expertise that spoke of battlefield experience. Where does it hurt most? He asked Earl quietly. Everywhere, Earl managed through bloody lips. But I'm okay. No, you are not. The janitor helped Earl sit up, then retrieved the Purple Heart with reverence. He produced a cloth from his pocket, the same one he'd used to clean floors, and carefully polished the metal until it gleamed again. This belongs to a real warrior, he said, pinning it back on Earl's corner stool. Only then did he turn to face Kelly. The transformation was subtle but complete. The stoop disappeared from his shoulders. The shuffle vanished from his stance. He stood balanced on the balls of his feet, weight perfectly distributed, hands loose at his sides. You want to fight, old man? The accent remained thick, but something underneath had changed, steel wrapped in silk. I am old man too. Kelly laughed, looking to his corner for confirmation of this absurdity. Are you serious right now? Security. But the crowd had gone silent, sensing something shifting in the air. The janitor reached up and removed his baseball cap, revealing a face the cameras suddenly recognized. Holy shit, someone whispered. He peeled off the coveralls with economical movements. Underneath, a simple black t-shirt revealed a physique that decades of training had carved into living marble. Not the bloated muscles of modern bodybuilding, but the functional strength of someone who'd spent a lifetime perfecting the art of movement. My name, he said, stepping to the center of the ring, is Jackie Chan. And you, young man, need lesson in respect. The arena exploded. Phones appeared everywhere, recording something impossible, a legend stepping out of retirement to defend a veteran's honor. Kelly's sneer faltered for just a moment before his ego reasserted itself. Jackie Chan. He forced a laugh. The movie guy? You're like, what, 70? 80? 70. Jackie confirmed pleasantly. Perfect age for teaching children. Tony. Russo scrambled from his corner, cell phone already at his ear. This was either a disaster or the opportunity of a lifetime. His fingers flew across the screen, calling contacts at every major sports network. Mr. Chan. Jerome Williams approached carefully. This isn't sanctioned. You can't just. He wants to fight old men. Jackie interrupted, never taking his eyes off Kelly. I volunteer. Bill Garrett, the promoter, pushed through the crowd at ringside. His lawyer was already shaking his head, but Garrett saw dollar signs multiplying. A real Jackie Chan fight? Live. The liability was enormous, but the payoff. Get him to sign waivers, he barked at his assistant. Everything. Make it ironclad. Kelly had recovered from his surprise, bravado returning. You know what? Fine. Let's do this. Another fossil for the highlight reel. He turned to the crowd, arms spread wide. You're about to see the destroyer knock out Jackie fucking Chan. This is going to be everywhere. Jackie had moved to Earl's corner, speaking quietly with Bobby Martinez. Take him to doctor. Check ribs, maybe broken. Leg needs x-ray. What about you? Bobby asked. Jackie's smile was serene. I have been preparing for this for 40 years. Just didn't know when. Tony Russo grabbed the announcer's microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going live on pay-per-view. Tell your friends. Tell the world. Brock Kelly versus Jackie Chan. Right here, right now. The crowd's roar shook the building. Somewhere in Hong Kong, studio executives were having heart attacks. In living rooms across America, grandparents were calling grandchildren. You'll never believe what's on TV. And in the ring, an old janitor stretched muscles that remembered every fight scene, every choreographed battle that had prepared him for this one real moment. The lesson was about to begin. The athletic commission officials huddled at ringside, regulations warring with the opportunity unfolding before them. Jackie Chan fighting live. The liability issues alone could shut down the venue. But the crowd's energy was electric, and Tony Russo was already on his third phone call to network executives. 50 million potential viewers in the first hour, Tony shouted over the noise. This is bigger than McGregor-Mayweather. Bill Garrett thrust papers at Jackie. Mr. Chan, I need you to sign these waivers. You understand you're participating at your own risk? Jackie signed without reading, eyes never leaving Kelly. I understand perfectly. Kelly had stripped to his fight shorts, bouncing on his toes, throwing combinations at air. His corner worked frantically, Mike Santana rewrapping hands while screaming instructions that seemed suddenly inadequate. He's just an actor, Mike insisted. Stick to your game plan. Pressure, volume, youth beats age every time. But doubt flickered in Kelly's eyes. The old man moved differently now. The shuffle was gone, replaced by perfect balance. Even standing still, Jackie occupied space like someone who understood distance and timing at a molecular level. Hashtag Jackie Chan fight is trending worldwide. Someone yelled from Kelly's corner. 20 million views already. Jerome Williams approached Jackie reluctantly. Mr. Chan, I have to ask, are you sure about this? This isn't a movie. Jackie's response was patient, almost kind. In my country, we have saying, young buffalo think old tiger has no teeth. But the liability, only liability, Jackie interrupted gently, is what happens to young man's soul if he not learn respect. The arena lights dimmed as production crews scrambled to adjust cameras. This wasn't just a fight anymore, it was a global event materializing in real time. Sports bars called employees back to work. Social media servers strained under the traffic. Earl, helped by Bobby and medics, paused at the ring apron. Despite his injuries, he grabbed Jackie's sleeve. You don't have to do this for me. Jackie's expression softened. Not just for you. For every old warrior he disrespects. For everyone who thinks strength is only in the fist. The bell rang. Kelly charged forward with the same combination that had destroyed Earl. Jab, cross, leg kick. But where Earl had been there to hit, Jackie simply wasn't. The punches found air, the kick met space. Fast for an old man. Kelly acknowledged, resetting. Jackie stood calmly, hands still low, that pleasant smile never wavering. We just beginning. Take your time. The world held its breath. The lesson was about to begin, broadcast live to millions, who were about to witness what happens when arrogance meets a master. Kelly's second attack came with more calculation. He'd watched enough Jackie Chan films to expect the unexpected, but movies were choreographed. This was real. He threw a probing jab, following immediately with a right cross aimed at Jackie's temple. Jackie shifted his weight perhaps 2 inches. The jab passed his ear close enough to rustle hair. The cross sailed over his shoulder as he bent slightly backward, movements so minimal they looked like breathing. Good speed, Jackie noted conversationally. But you telegraph with shoulder. Here, he tapped his own left shoulder. You lift before you punch. Very small, but I see. Kelly's face flushed. Being critiqued during a fight was worse than being hit. He exploded forward with a 6-punch combination that had finished 3 opponents in the first round. Hooks, uppercuts, straights, textbook MMA striking that came from angles designed to trap and overwhelm. Jackie moved like water finding its path. He didn't block or dodge dramatically. Instead, he existed in the spaces between strikes, turning devastating punches into near misses through positioning alone. His feet painted patterns on the canvas, never retreating but never quite where Kelly expected. Too wide. Jackie observed as a hook whistled past. Power comes from hip, not arm. Watch. He demonstrated with his own hip rotation, showing the proper mechanics while making Kelly miss another combination. The crowd began to understand they weren't watching a fight. They were attending a masterclass. Frustration built in Kelly's movements. His clean technique grew wilder as Jackie continued his casual instruction. Your teacher, he taught you to hurt people, yes? Jackie sidestepped a spinning back kick that would have broken ribs. This is not bad. Sometimes we must hurt to protect. But you hurt because you enjoy. This makes you weak. Shut up and fight. Kelly launched his signature move, a level change into a double leg takedown that had never failed. But Jackie's decades of film work included countless ground sequences. As Kelly shot in, Jackie sprawled with perfect timing, pressing down on the back of Kelly's head while his legs kicked back. The technique was textbook wrestling defense, but executed with a fluidity that made it look effortless. Kelly drove forward, trying to finish the takedown through sheer strength. Jackie allowed him to strain for a moment, then performed a simple hip switch that left Kelly face down on the canvas while Jackie remained standing. In Drunken Master, I fight on ground many times, Jackie explained to the worldwide audience. Director make me practice until perfect. 20 takes, 30 takes, until movement becomes part of me. You think movie fighting is fake? Every technique real, we just control impact. Kelly scrambled to his feet, breathing harder than he should. After only 2 minutes, his corner screamed instructions, but their voices sounded distant and useless. How did you game plan against someone who treated your best techniques like teaching opportunities? Again, Jackie encouraged that maddening smile, never wavering. But this time, don't think about hurting. Think about why you fight. What is purpose? What does victory mean if built on disrespecting others? The live viewership had passed 30 million. Commentary teams worldwide struggled to describe what they were seeing. This wasn't just East meets West or old versus young. It was philosophy. In motion, wisdom delivered through movement. Kelly loaded up for another attack, but something had changed. The certainty was gone from his eyes. For the first time in his professional career, he was beginning to understand the difference between a fighter and a martial artist, and the lesson had barely begun. Kelly shifted tactics, shooting for another takedown. If he couldn't win standing, he'd use his wrestling. His arms wrapped around Jackie's waist, driving forward with the explosive power that had earned him Division I honors. But Jackie's stunt work had prepared him for exactly this. As Kelly drove him backward, Jackie posted his hands on Kelly's shoulders and kicked his legs up, essentially performing a handstand on his opponent. The crowd gasped as Jackie held the position for a full second before pushing off, landing behind the bewildered fighter. From Rumble in Bronx, Jackie explained. Very hard scene. Director want perfect, so I practice 100 times. Now, muscle remember. Kelly spun around, confusion replacing rage. Every attack felt like fighting smoke. He managed to grab Jackie's arm, attempting a judo throw, but Jackie flowed with the motion, turning what should have been a slam into an elegant roll that left him standing while Kelly stumbled forward. You know ground fighting, yes? Jackie asked. Show me. It was bait, but Kelly's ego couldn't resist. He shot in low, achieving a successful takedown through sheer determination. Finally, Jackie was on his back, Kelly in top position. This was his world, or it should have been. As Kelly postured up to throw ground strikes. Jackie bridged, not the normal wrestling bridge, but something that defied skeletal structure. His spine curved impossibly, feet finding the canvas behind his head, before flowing into a movement that looked like breakdancing. Kelly found himself grasping at air as Jackie spun beneath him. We practiced this for Police Story 3, Jackie noted, now somehow standing on the bottom rope. Stunt coordinators say impossible. I say, nothing impossible, only need more practice. Kelly charged, trying to trap Jackie against the ropes. But Jackie used the elastic barriers like props, bouncing between them with timing perfected through decades of action sequences. At one point, he balanced on the top rope like a tightrope walker while Kelly swung at his legs. Careful, Jackie warned. Ropes are friends, not enemies. Use them, don't fight them. The crowd alternated between laughter and awe. This wasn't just defense, it was performance art. Every evasion told a story, referenced a film, demonstrated a principle. Kelly's aggressive MMA style looked crude against this poetry of movement. Get him down and smash. Mike Santana screamed from the corner. He's making you look stupid. That was the wrong word. Kelly's face darkened as he realized the truth. He did look stupid. Millions were watching him flail at a 70-year-old man who treated the octagon like a movie set. He finally caught Jackie in a clinch against the ropes, using his size to control position. This was basic MMA, underhooks, head position, knee strikes to the thighs. But Jackie's response came from a different martial world. He relaxed completely, becoming dead weight, then used Kelly's own pressure to spin him around. In China, we call this borrowing force. Jackie explained calmly. You push, I pull. You pull, I push. Always use opponent's energy against them. Kelly tried to muscle Jackie to the ground, but it was like wrestling water. Every grip slipped, every dominant position dissolved. The ring itself seemed to conspire with Jackie, ropes always exactly where he needed them, canvas providing perfect friction for his movements. This is not real fighting. Kelly protested, frustration boiling over. Jackie's expression grew serious for the first time. No? Then tell me, why you breathing hard while I still talking? Why you angry while I still calm? Real fighting not about domination, young man. Real fighting is about control, first of self, then of situation. The lesson was sinking in, whether Kelly wanted it or not. As the exhibition continued, Jackie shifted from pure defense to active teaching. Each time Kelly threw a combination, Jackie would demonstrate the counter while explaining the philosophy behind it. You throw punch like missile, Jackie noted, redirecting a haymaker with his forearm. All power, no thought. But what happens? To missile that misses target? He guided Kelly's fist into the turnbuckle padding with a resonating thud. Wasted energy. Wasted opportunity. Kelly yanked his hand back, knuckles stinging from the impact. His next attack came lower, a liver shot that had dropped grown men. But Jackie's elbow was already there, deflecting the strike while his other hand tapped Kelly's exposed temple. See, when you commit to body, head is open. When you commit to head, Jackie demonstrated by allowing Kelly to swing high, then tapping his ribs, body is open. This is why anger makes you blind. The crowd had gone quiet, absorbing every word. This wasn't trash talk or psychological warfare. It was genuine instruction delivered with grandfatherly patience. Even Kelly's corner had stopped shouting, mesmerized by the lesson unfolding. Your style, it comes from fear, Jackie continued, sidestepping a leg kick. Fear of losing, fear of looking weak. So you attack, attack, attack. But warrior who fights from fear already defeated. I'm not afraid of anything. Kelly snarled, shooting for a single-leg takedown. Jackie's defense was poetry. He didn't sprawl or stuff the takedown conventionally. Instead, he flowed around Kelly like water around stone, somehow ending up behind him with a gentle pat on the shoulder. Everyone afraid of something. I afraid too. Afraid I cannot teach you before you hurt someone who cannot defend. This is good fear. Protective fear. Jackie's voice carried across the silent arena. Your fear is selfish. Makes you small. Kelly's technique was dissolving. The clean combinations became wild swings. The calculated shoots turned desperate. He was fighting two opponents now, Jackie and his own crumbling self-image. You want to know secret? Jackie asked, allowing Kelly to grab his wrist. Real power not in muscle or technique. Real power here. He tapped his chest with his free hand. Heart that protects is stronger than fist that destroys. To demonstrate, Jackie showed a nerve strike that could have paralyzed Kelly's arm, but applied it with just enough pressure to cause tingling. This could end fight. But what would you learn? Pain teaches nothing without understanding. Earl watched from his stretcher at ringside. Ice packs on his ribs, but eyes clear. He began to understand something profound. Jackie wasn't just defending his honor. He was trying to save Kelly from himself. You have skill, Jackie acknowledged, flowing out of another grappling exchange. Good athlete, strong body. But building built on wrong foundation will fall. You build career on disrespect. What happens when strength fades? When younger fighter comes? You become what you mock. Old man with nothing but memories of hurting others. The truth hit Kelly like a physical blow. His attack slowed, not from exhaustion, but from sudden self-awareness. The crowd he'd played to for years now seemed like a jury witnessing his judgment. I trained in martial arts for 60 years, Jackie said softly. Not 60 years of fighting, 60 years of learning. Learning to protect, not destroy. Learning that every opponent is teacher, every defeat is lesson. You want to be destroyer? Then you destroy yourself first. Kelly stood in the center of the ring, fists still raised but conviction crumbling. For the first time, he looked at Earl, really looked at him. Not as an old man to humiliate, but as a warrior who'd earned every scar. The transformation had begun, though neither realized it yet. Sometimes the hardest opponent to defeat is the one in the mirror. The livestream numbers exploded past 50 million as social media caught fire. Celebrities tweeted in real time. Athletes shared clips, and memes were born by the second. Jackie Chan teaching punk respect videos already had millions of views, with new angles uploaded every moment. Kelly's phone, propped in his corner, buzzed incessantly. His sponsors were calling. Affliction, Monster Energy, his supplement company. Tony Russo juggled 3 phones, his face growing paler with each conversation. "They're pulling out," Tony hissed at Mike Santana. "All of them. This is a PR nightmare." In the ring, Jackie performed subtle callbacks to his legendary fights. As Kelly rushed forward, Jackie slid between his legs, a perfect recreation of his move from Police Story. The crowd roared with recognition. "You know this one?" Jackie asked with genuine delight. 1985, very dangerous stunt. Directors say use stunt double. I say no. Audience can tell difference. He proceeded to demonstrate moves from across his filmography. The latter fight from First Strike became a rope-assisted evasion. The shopping cart sequence from Rumble in the Bronx translated into using Kelly's own momentum against him. Each reference drew bigger cheers from fans recognizing the choreography. Kelly found himself trapped in a living Jackie Chan highlight reel. When he threw a chair strike, Jackie caught it and sat down mid-fight, just like in Rush Hour. When Kelly tried to corner him, Jackie fought while appearing to protect invisible furniture, arms windmilling in classic comedic style. "This isn't a real fight," Kelly screamed, his carefully cultivated image cracking. "You're making a joke out of me." "No," Jackie corrected gently, dodging another wild swing. "You made joke of yourself when you disrespect Earl. I just showing everyone." The punchline. The comment sections across platforms told the story. Destroyer? More like destroyed skull. Jackie teaching this boy all the lessons. That's what happens when you mess with real legends. MMA fighter getting schooled by a 70-year-old actor. LOL. Kelly's corner was in chaos. His cut man had stopped watching, transfixed by the exhibition. Mike Santana's strategic advice had devolved into desperate pleas to just hit him. Even his own team was posting videos, unable to resist documenting this. Historic moment. "Brock's done," someone commented. "Career over. Who's going to take him seriously after this?" The observation spread like wildfire. Kelly's tough guy image, built through years of brutal knockouts and trash talk, was evaporating in real time. He wasn't just losing a fight, he was becoming a global meme, a cautionary tale about respecting your elders. Between exchanges, Kelly glimpsed his phone screen. His Instagram followers were dropping by thousands. His latest post, a pre-fight boast about destroying another grandpa, was being ratioed into oblivion. Comedy accounts were already selling t-shirts with his shocked face and Jackie's smile. "You see," Jackie observed, noting Kelly's distraction. "You fight for cameras, for likes, for image. But image built on disrespect is like house built on sand." One wave, he demonstrated with a gentle push that sent Kelly stumbling, and everything falls down. The truth was undeniable. Kelly's entire identity had been constructed around being the young destroyer, the brutal finisher who sent old fighters into retirement. Now he was being systematically dismantled by someone who qualified for senior discounts, and the whole world was watching. "Please," Kelly gasped between attempts to land anything meaningful. Just fight me for real." Jackie's expression grew sympathetic. "But this is real, young man. More real than any knockout. Today you learned that reputation built on hurting others can be destroyed by one old man who knows how to move. Imagine what happens when you face an opponent who wants to hurt you back." The lesson was becoming clear to everyone watching. Kelly hadn't just picked the wrong opponent. He'd built his entire career on the wrong foundation. Between rounds, though they'd abandoned formal round structure long ago, Kelly huddled with his corner. The conversation was urgent, desperate. Tony Russo's hands moved quickly, slipping something to Mike Santana while the referee dealt with commission officials arguing about whether to stop this spectacle. Jackie noticed everything. His eyes tracked the furtive movements, the whispered urgency, the way Santana palmed something while pretending to adjust Kelly's gloves. The old master's expression didn't change, but his stance shifted subtly, preparation for what he knew was coming. When action resumed, Kelly's entire approach had changed. Gone were the wild haymakers and desperate takedowns. Now his attacks carried vicious intent. Knee strikes aimed at Jackie's spine, elbows thrown in the clinch, fingers reaching for eyes during grappling exchanges. Ah, Jackie noted, deflecting. A strike meant to damage his knee joint. Now you show your true face. The crowd sensed the shift. What had been an exhibition, almost playful in its one-sidedness, now carried darker undertones. Kelly wasn't trying to win anymore. He was trying to injure that Jackie's defensive style evolved in response. He still didn't attack, but his redirections became more decisive. When Kelly threw an elbow at his temple, Jackie didn't just evade, he guided the strike into the ring post with enough force to make Kelly yelp. When a knee aimed for his spine, Jackie shifted so Kelly's patella struck the turnbuckle padding. You want to hurt old man. Jackie's voice remained calm, but something steel-edged had entered it. Okay, but remember, when you try to hurt others, often you hurt yourself most. The demonstration that followed was a clinic in defensive punishment. Jackie never threw a strike, but Kelly began accumulating damage from his own attacks. A punch, redirected into the ropes, left his knuckles raw. A kick guided past its target hyperextended his hip. A takedown attempt converted into a roll left him dizzy and disoriented. This is called offense without offense, Jackie explained to the mesmerized crowd. Opponent defeats himself. I just help little bit. Earl, despite his injuries, had refused to leave ringside. He watched with growing concern as Kelly's attacks became more desperate and dirty. He's gonna do something stupid, Earl warned Bobby. I can see it in his eyes. Indeed, Kelly's frustration was boiling over. Every dirty tactic failed. Every attempt to injure backfired. He was being humiliated not just as a fighter, but exposed as someone willing to maim a 70-year-old man for pride. Your sponsor's watching, Jackie observed, sidestepping another eye gouge attempt. Your fans watching. Your mother watching. What they see, not strong young fighter. They see scared boy who needs weapons because his character too weak. That struck deeper than any punch. Kelly's face contorted with rage and shame. His corner kept signaling, Santana making gestures toward his hands, but Kelly hesitated. Some small part of him, perhaps the part that had once been a decent person, resisted taking that final step. I know what you're thinking, Jackie said, quietly, just for Kelly. Your team, they give you something, yes? Something to make punch harder? You think I don't see? Kelly's eyes widened. Jackie had known all along. Question is, Jackie continued, still evading every strike with minimal effort, what kind of man you want to be? Man who needs brass knuckles to beat old actor? Or man who learns from mistake and becomes better? The arena held its breath. Kelly stood at a crossroads, his hands trembling as he felt the weight of the foreign objects his corner had slipped into his wraps. The next decision would define not just this fight, but the rest of his life. The crowd waited. The world watched. And somewhere in Kelly's eyes, a war raged between ego and conscience. The moment arrived to shift focus from combat to revelation. Jackie had been defending for 10 minutes, but now he began narrating a different fight, one that happened over 50 years ago. You want to know about real warrior? Jackie asked, deflecting another combination. This man, he gestured toward Earl, 19 years old. Hill 875, Cambodia border. Kelly's attack slowed despite himself, drawn into the story even as he tried to land strikes. November 1969. His unit surrounded. Sergeant dead. Private Kowalski take command. Jackie demonstrated by tapping his own shoulder where Sergeant Stripes would sit. 20 men under his leadership. Boys really. Younger than you. The arena had gone silent except for Jackie's voice and the sound of missed punches. Mortar attack come at dawn. Jackie's movements mimicked explosions, dodging Kelly's strikes as if they were shrapnel. Direct hit on command post. Kowalski thrown 20 feet. Land hard. Shrapnel here. He touched his left thigh. Cut deep. Medics say artery nicked. Bleeding bad. Kelly found himself listening even as he fought, his combinations becoming half-hearted. But two soldiers trapped in bunker. Fire spreading. Jackie's evasions became more dramatic, as if moving through smoke and flames. Everyone else dead or running. What does 19-year-old Earl do? He paused, allowing Kelly to process this, while easily avoiding a leg kick. He go back, leg barely working, blood trail behind him like paintbrush. Jackie demonstrated with footwork that showed a pronounced limp. First man, Corporal Martinez. Unconscious. Earl throw him over shoulder. Carry to safety. Medics scream at him. You bleeding out. Earl go back anyway. The crowd was transfixed. Even Kelly's corner had stopped shouting instructions. Second man, Private Williams. Awake, but legs crushed by beam. Earl already weak from blood loss. Doctor later say he should have been unconscious. But Earl lift beam with one arm, drag Williams with other. Jackie's movements showed the struggle, turning Kelly's attacks into props for his storytelling. 300 meters to safety. Earl make it 20 steps, collapse. Get up. Make it 30 steps, collapse. Get up. Each time harder. Medics say he die if you don't stop. Earl say. Jackie's voice took on Earl's Detroit accent. Then I die. But they live. Kelly had stopped attacking entirely, standing with his guard half lowered. Helicopter pilots see them. Against orders, land under fire. Earl pushed both men in first. Only then he accept help. Pass out moment helicopter lift off. Jackie's hands illustrated the ascent. Wake up 3 days later in hospital. First question. Martinez and Williams okay? He turned to face Kelly directly. Doctor want to amputate leg. Too much damage. Earl refuse. Say he need leg to stand at their weddings. Take 6 surgeries, 2 years physical therapy. Everyday pain like fire. But he stand at both weddings. Best man. The camera found Earl at ringside, tears streaming down his weathered face. 49 years later, leg still hurt every morning. Earl never complain. Work construction until he can't. Then volunteer at VA hospital. Help other veterans. 7 days a week. Jackie's voice hardened. This man you call fake hero. This man whose metal you step on. He demonstrated a perfect 12-strike combination in the air, each blow precisely. Placed but never connecting with Kelly. I could have ended you with any of these. But Earl wouldn't want that. Real warriors protect. Even protect those who hurt them. Kelly stood frozen, the weight of his brass knuckles feeling like anchors. The truth was undeniable. He'd built his career on defeating bodies, while Earl had built his life on saving souls. Now, Jackie said quietly, you choose. What kind of warrior you want to be? Something fundamental shifted in Kelly's eyes. The rage flickered and dimmed, replaced by confusion, then shame. His attacks, already ineffective, now lacked even the pretense of conviction. He threw combinations because he didn't know what else to do, but his heart wasn't in them anymore. Jackie recognized the change immediately. His defensive style softened from redirecting potential injury to simple evasion. He began demonstrating the deeper aspects of martial arts, not just how to fight, but why fighting was usually unnecessary. Watch, Jackie said, as Kelly threw a half-hearted jab. This punch, it tells story. See how shoulder drops? This is not anger anymore. This is confusion. Good. Confusion is beginning of wisdom. He showed Kelly a nerve strike that could have ended the fight instantly, fingers positioned at the exact point on his neck that would have dropped him unconscious. But instead of applying pressure, Jackie simply tapped the spot lightly. Here, fight ends. But what you learn? Nothing. Just wake up with headache and same problems. He demonstrated another point near the ribs. Here, breathing stops for a moment. Very scary, but you still same person after. Kelly's guard dropped lower with each demonstration. His corner screamed for him to attack, but their voices seemed to come from another world. I show you something, Jackie continued, his movements now more teaching than defending. Every technique has 2 faces. This, he showed a palm strike, can break nose. Or, he placed the same palm gently on Kelly's chest, can push friend away from danger. Same movement, different heart. The crowd watched in fascination as Jackie systematically deconstructed not just Kelly's fighting style, but his entire worldview. Each technique came with philosophy. Each movement carried meaning beyond violence. Your style, MMA, very effective, Jackie acknowledged. Mix everything, take what works. Smart. But you take only techniques for hurting. Never learn techniques for helping. This makes you half fighter. He demonstrated a guillotine choke, Kelly's signature move, but transformed it into a protective embrace, showing how the same position could shield someone from attack. In my movies, we fight 100 men. Always win. You know why? Not because we strongest. Because audience wants to see good defeat evil. They cheer for protector, not destroyer. Kelly's hands began to shake. The brass knuckles hidden in his wraps felt like they were burning through the tape. Every word Jackie spoke hammered at the walls he'd built around his conscience. But movie is fantasy, Jackie continued. In real life, good doesn't always win. Unless, he smiled, that grandfatherly expression that had charmed millions, we choose to be good. Then we already won, no matter what happens in fight. The demonstration reached its crescendo. Jackie showed combination after combination, each one perfectly executed but never landing. It was shadowboxing with a living shadow, Kelly serving. As a prop for techniques he was beginning to understand he'd never truly mastered. You have skill, Jackie said, and for the first time it didn't sound condescending. Athletic ability, very impressive, but building without foundation. What happens when athletic ability fades? When younger fighter comes, you become what you mock, old man with only memories. The truth hit Kelly like all the punches Jackie hadn't thrown. In 5 years, 10 years, he'd be the one taking charity fights. He'd be the veteran some young punk would humiliate for views. The cycle would continue unless I change, Kelly whispered. The words surprising him, Jackie's smile grew wider. Now real lesson begins. But first, his expression grew serious. What you do about things in your hands. Kelly looked down at his wrapped fists, knowing Jackie could see through the tape to the shame beneath. The moment of truth had arrived. Time seemed to crystallize as Kelly stared at his wrapped hands. The brass knuckles pressed against his palms, their weight far exceeding their size. His corner was gesturing frantically, Tony making throat-slashing motions, Mike Santana mouthing now. Jackie stood perfectly still, hands lowered, offering no defense. His expression held no judgment, only patient expectation. The entire arena seemed to hold its breath. They're watching, Tony hissed from the corner. Millions watching. Don't be weak. Kelly's mind raced. One punch, one brass-knuckled haymaker could change everything. Jackie was old. Reflexes couldn't be perfect forever. He could end this humiliation, salvage something from the wreckage of his reputation. His right hand cocked back. The crowd gasped. Earl tried to shout a warning, but his damaged ribs stole his breath. Kelly stepped forward, loading everything into the punch. All his rage, his humiliation, his desperate need to be someone who mattered. The weighted fist rocketed toward Jackie's temple with lethal intent. Time resumed at lightning speed. Jackie's hand moved faster than cameras could properly capture. Not a block, not a deflection. He caught Kelly's wrist like snatching a fly from the air. His other hand found the inside of Kelly's elbow, and with a motion that looked almost gentle, he redirected the punch past his ear while simultaneously stripping the brass knuckles in one fluid spiral. The weapon flew in a glittering arc, landing in the crowd where a veteran immediately held it up for the referee to see. What the hell is that? The announcer's voice boomed over the speakers. Jackie's entire demeanor transformed. The grandfather was gone. What stood in his place was something ancient and terrible, a warrior who'd spent 70 years perfecting the art of controlled violence. You want to see what this old man can really do? His stance shifted to something older than cinema, more fundamental than sport. Northern Shaolin merged with Wing Chun, Hapkido flowed into Dragon style. This wasn't movie choreography anymore. This was the real art that inspired the films. What followed would be analyzed in martial arts schools for decades. Jackie unleashed combinations that shouldn't have been possible at any age, spinning crescents that flowed into takedowns, hand techniques that chained together like water. Becoming ice, becoming steam. Each strike stopped millimeters from impact, showing Kelly exactly how many times he could have been killed. Kelly became a teaching dummy, helpless to defend against techniques he couldn't even identify. Jackie demonstrated death touches, paralyzing strikes, breaks, and dislocations, all pulled at the last possible instant. It was beautiful and terrifying, like watching a master painter work with brushes that could end lives. This from Temple training, Jackie explained calmly while executing a combination that left Kelly spinning. Before movies, before fame. When fighting meant survival, not entertainment. He caught Kelly's arm in a lock that could have shattered the elbow, held it for a moment to let everyone see, then released it harmlessly. This what you wanted? To make old man use real skill? Jackie's voice carried disappointment deeper than anger. Congratulations. You achieved goal. The demonstration continued. 30 seconds that felt like hours. Kelly couldn't land a counter, couldn't find distance, couldn't even fall properly. He was being used to show the world the difference between sport fighting and martial arts. Finally, mercifully, Jackie stepped back. Kelly dropped to his knees, untouched but utterly defeated. His eyes were wide with the understanding of how close he'd come to death. How many times Jackie could have ended him but chose not to. Now, Jackie said quietly, the warrior face melting back into grandfatherly concern. We talk about who you really want to be. The arena erupted in chaos. Officials rushed the ring. The referee held the brass knuckles high, shouting for security. Tony Russo tried to flee but found his path blocked by angry veterans. Mike Santana stood frozen, knowing his training career had just ended on international television. But in the ring, a bubble of calm existed around Jackie and Kelly. Stand up, Jackie said quietly. Kelly remained on his knees, staring at his hands as if seeing them for the first time. I almost, yes. You almost. But almost is not did. Jackie's voice carried no anger, only profound disappointment. You know what separates human from animal? Choice. Animal acts on instinct. Human can choose different path. I would have killed you, Kelly whispered. Maybe. Maybe not. Jackie shrugged. I am harder to kill than I look. But that not important. Important is you chose to try. Now, choose what comes next. The transformation in Jackie was complete. Every trace of the bumbling janitor had vanished. What remained was a master who'd spent decades perfecting not just combat, but the art of teaching through combat. His stance spoke of temples and mountaintops, of knowledge passed down through generations. Get up, Earl called from ringside, his voice cutting through pain. Warrior falls 7 times, stands 8. Kelly's head snapped toward Earl, tears streaming down his face. I'm sorry. I'm so fucking sorry. I don't want apologies, Earl replied. I want you to stand up and face what you've done. Slowly, like a man lifting the weight of his shame, Kelly rose. His legs shook, but he stood. Jackie nodded approval. Good. First step. Now, his stance shifted again, flowing through forms that predated modern martial arts. You want to see what this old man can do? I show you. But not to hurt. To teach. Final lesson. What followed was pure artistry. Jackie performed techniques from every discipline he'd mastered. Peking opera movements that became devastating strikes. Drunken boxing that turned stumbling into strategy. Animal styles that showed how nature itself fought. Each technique was demonstrated with surgical precision, using Kelly as an unwilling but unharmed partner. This is Eagle Claw, Jackie explained, his fingers finding pressure points that made Kelly's arm go numb. Created by General Yu Fei 900 years ago. Not for sport, for war. He released the pressure, blood flowing back into Kelly's arm. This is Bagwazang. Jackie walked a circle around Kelly, movements spiraling like a whirlpool. Internal art. Enemy attack straight. You move in circles. They exhaust themselves. Chasing shadows. Kelly tried to track Jackie's movement, but grew dizzy from the circular patterns. And this, Jackie's entire energy shifted, becoming something primal and dangerous, is what I learned before movies. When Hong Kong streets were dangerous. When fighting meant survival. The combination that followed defied description. It wasn't just fast, it existed outside normal time. Strikes flowed into throws, flowed into locks, flowed into strikes again. Kelly was caught in a hurricane of technique, unable to process what was happening until it was already over. 60 years of training. Jackie said, not even breathing hard. Every day forms. Every day, meditation. Every day, choosing to use. Skill for protection, not destruction. You think movies made me fighter? No. Fighting made me choose movies. Safer to pretend than to really hurt someone. He stepped back, giving Kelly space to understand. This what you face when you put on brass knuckles. Not actor. Not celebrity. Just old man who remembers every lesson, every technique, every reason. Why fighting should be last choice, not first. Kelly swayed on his feet, overwhelmed by the display. But something in his eyes had changed. Fear replaced by awe, ego shattered and rebuilt as respect. Teach me, he whispered. Please. Jackie's demonstration intensified, but now it transcended mere technique. He was showing Kelly, and the millions watching, what a lifetime dedicated to martial arts truly meant. You know my movies, yes? Jackie asked, launching into a sequence from Drunken Master. But where the film version was theatrical, This was the real drunken boxing. Deceptive, unpredictable, devastating. What you see on screen is maybe 10%. Insurance company not let me show real applications. He stumbled forward, appearing to lose balance, but the motion became a throw. That sent Kelly spinning. The drunken recovery turned into a sweep that would have shattered ankles if Jackie hadn't pulled it. This one from Police Story. Jackie ran up Kelly's body like it was a wall, flipping backward to land behind him. Stunt double refuse. Too dangerous. So I do myself. 23 takes to get right. But here, he demonstrated again, faster. Only need one. The crowd watched in silent awe. Phones captured every moment, but no camera could truly convey the mastery on display. This wasn't choreographed entertainment. It was martial arts elevated to high art. Snake style. Jackie's hands became serpents, striking and recoiling faster than eyes could follow. Crane style. His balance shifted to one leg, the other becoming a weapon that could strike from impossible angles. Tiger, dragon, monkey, each has lesson, each has purpose. Kelly tried to defend, to participate, but he might as well have been trying to box with wind. Every position he took was wrong. Every defense had 3 counters. Every attack had been defeated before he threw it. You train for sport, Jackie observed, flowing through Wing Chun's wooden dummy techniques, using Kelly as the dummy. Rules. Rounds. Referees. Safe. But street has no referee. Temple training assumes life or death. Every technique must work against someone who wants to kill you. He demonstrated dim Mac, the death touch, his fingers finding points on Kelly's body that could shut down organs. Each touch was light as a butterfly, but Kelly felt the potential for devastation. Here, heart stops. Here, lungs collapse. Here, blood flow to brain ends. Jackie's lesson was clinical, terrifying. I know these points like pianist knows keys, but knowing and using different things. The demonstration reached crescendo. Jackie performed a kata, a form that told the story of combat through movement. But he incorporated Kelly into it, making him part of the narrative. Attack, defense, counter, philosophy, all woven together in a dance that spoke of centuries. Of warrior tradition. My Sifu taught me, anyone can destroy. Takes no skill to break things. True skill is knowing how to break, but choosing to build. Jackie's movement slowed, becoming meditation in motion. You spend career breaking people. What have you built? Kelly couldn't answer. He stood in the center of the ring, clothes soaked with sweat, ego completely shattered. But in that destruction, something new was taking root. Final lesson, Jackie announced. He showed one last combination, beautiful in its simplicity, terrifying in its efficiency. It used every principle he'd demonstrated, condensed into 3 seconds of perfect violence. Kelly didn't even see it happen. One moment he was standing, the next he was airborne. Then somehow Jackie had caught him and set him gently back on his feet. That is 40 years ago technique. Today, I am slower. Jackie smiled sadly. But you? You are young. You could learn to do better. Question is, will you use it to destroy or protect? The arena remained silent, 2,500 people collectively, holding their breath. On live streams around the world, comment sections had gone quiet. Everyone waited to see what would emerge from the ruins of Brock Kelly's identity, that Kelly's collapse wasn't physical. Jackie had been careful to avoid real damage. It was complete emotional and psychological breakdown. The young fighter dropped to his knees again, but this time his body shook with deep, wrenching sobs that echoed through the silent arena. I'm nothing, he gasped between tears. Everything I am, it's all fake. It's all bullshit. Jackie's warrior demeanor softened instantly. He knelt beside Kelly with the careful movements of someone approaching a wounded animal. No, Jackie, said gently, you are not nothing. You are a young man who lost his way. I stepped on his mettle. Kelly's voice broke completely. I spit on a war hero. What kind of person does that? Person who was taught wrong, Jackie replied. Person who believed strength means domination. Person who never had someone show different path. Earl Kowalski pushed away from the medical staff, trying to restrain him. Despite his injuries, ribs almost certainly cracked, leg barely functional, he limped toward the ring. Bobby Martinez tried to stop him, but Earl shook him off. If he can find courage to change, Earl said, voice rough with pain, I can find strength to forgive. The crowd watched in hushed amazement as Earl climbed through the ropes, each movement clearly agonizing. Jackie moved to help, but Earl waved him off. This was something he needed to do himself. Kelly looked up through tears to find Earl standing over him, the man he'd brutalized, humiliated, whose service he'd mocked. The veteran's face was swollen, blood still crusted around his nose, but his eyes held no hatred. "Son," Earl said quietly, "I've seen real evil. Seen what people do when they stop seeing others as human. You're not evil. You're just lost. After what I did, I've had 50 years to think about forgiveness," Earl continued. "Held too much anger for too long after the war. Almost destroyed me. Annie, my wife, she taught me that holding on to hate only poisons you. The other person goes on living while you die inside." He extended his hand, the same one that had carried wounded brothers through jungle hell. "Get up, son. Time to start becoming who you're supposed to be." Kelly stared at the offered hand like it was salvation itself. Slowly, trembling, he reached out and grasped it. Earl pulled him to his feet, and suddenly Kelly was embracing the older man, sobbing apologies into his shoulder. "I'm sorry. I'm so fucking sorry. I don't deserve, nobody deserves forgiveness," Earl said, patting Kelly's back awkwardly. "That's what makes it powerful." The arena erupted. 2,500 people rose to their feet, applauding not for violence or victory, but for something far rarer, genuine redemption witnessed in real time. Jackie stood back, allowing the moment to breathe. His eyes swept the crowd, noting veterans wiping away tears, young fighters reconsidering their own attitudes, parents pointing out the lesson to their children. "You see," he said, just loud enough for the cameras to catch. "This is why we train. Not to destroy enemies. To destroy the hatred that makes enemies in first place." Kelly pulled back from Earl, face red and swollen from crying. "I don't know how to be different." "That's okay," Earl replied. "None of us know at first. But you got something I didn't have at your age. You got teachers willing to show you." He glanced at Jackie, who nodded slightly. "Real strength," Jackie added, "is admitting weakness. Real courage is changing when everyone expects you to stay same. You show both tonight." Kelly wiped his eyes, looking between the two men who should have been his victims but had become his salvation. "Where do I even start?" "Same place we all start," Earl said simply. "By choosing to be better than you were yesterday." The ring became a makeshift ceremony ground. Earl, still unsteady on his damaged leg, reached for his purple heart that Bobby had safeguarded in the corner. The metal caught the arena lights, its purple ribbon stained with blood from the fight. Kelly saw it, and fresh shame washed over his face. "I stepped on that." "I hear." Earl held it out. "Take it." "What?" "No, I can't. Not to keep," Earl clarified. "To return. Properly." With shaking hands, Kelly accepted the medal. The weight of it, not just physical but symbolic, made his hands tremble more. He looked at the heart-shaped medal with George Washington's profile, understanding for the first time what it represented. "This was for Hill 875, he asked quietly. Earl nodded. "And for every day since. Pain doesn't end when war does." Kelly dropped to one knee, not from exhaustion, but from an instinct he didn't fully understand. He held the medal up to Earl with both hands, head bowed. "I'm sorry I disrespected your service. I'm sorry I dishonored what this represents." His voice cracked. "I don't know much about honor, but I want to learn." Earl accepted the medal, pinning it back to his collar with practiced movements. Then he did something unexpected. He helped Kelly stand and turned him to face the crowd. "This young man made mistakes," Earl announced, his voice carrying despite the pain. "Bad ones. But he's choosing to own them. In my book, that's the first step to becoming a real warrior." The crowd's response was mixed. Some applauded, others remained skeptical. Kelly's reputation wouldn't be rebuilt in one night, and everyone knew it. Jackie stepped forward, still in his janitor's t-shirt despite having just displayed master-level martial arts. "I want to tell you all something. Today, I cleaned floors at this arena. Good work. Honest work. But I also cleaned something else. Young man's heart, full of anger and pride." He addressed the cameras directly, knowing millions were watching. "For 40 years, I make movies. Show fighting as entertainment. But real martial arts not about entertainment. About protection. About wisdom. About choosing hard path of peace over easy path of violence." The arena had become completely silent, everyone straining to hear. Tonight, you see what happens when we forget this. Young fighter with great skill, but no wisdom. Old veteran with great honor, but no protection. Violence without purpose. Strength without compassion. He gestured to Kelly. But also, you see what happens when someone chooses to change. This is more powerful than any punch. Tony Russo tried to slink away, but found security waiting. Mike Santana sat in the corner, head in hands, career destroyed by his complicity. The brass knuckles were being bagged as evidence. Mr. Chan, a reporter shouted from ringside. Will you press charges? Jackie shook his head. Legal system punish body. But this young man already punishing himself harder than any court. Better he spend time learning than in jail. He turned to Kelly. But learning means commitment. Real change, not just words. For camera, I'll do anything, Kelly said immediately. Whatever it takes. Anything. Jackie's smile held a hint of his old mischief. Good. Earl needs help at Veterans Center. You start there. Every day? Clean floors, like I do. Help with classes. Learn what real strength means. Earl added. Got young veterans coming back from Afghanistan, Iraq. Angry, lost, looking for fights. Maybe you can show them different path, since you know where the wrong one leads. Kelly nodded eagerly, desperately. Yes. Yes, absolutely. And, Jackie continued, you donate tonight's purse to veterans' mental health programs. All of it. Done. And you train properly. Not for hurting, for helping. I know teachers. Real ones. They will accept you if Earl vouches. Earl studied Kelly for a long moment, then nodded. Everyone deserves second chance. Don't waste yours. The arena lights caught the moment. 3 men from different generations, different backgrounds, united by violence, but bonded through forgiveness. It was an image that would define all their futures. The locker room afterward felt like a different universe from the chaos of the arena. Medical staff worked on Earl's injuries while Kelly sat on a bench, staring at his wrapped hands as if they belonged to someone else. Jackie had returned to his janitor's coveralls, calmly organizing his cleaning supplies. 13 stitches, the doctor announced, finishing with Earl's eyebrow. 3 cracked ribs, severe contusion to the left. Quadriceps. You need at least 6 weeks of rest. I'll rest when I'm dead, Earl muttered, then caught Jackie's disapproving look. Fine. For weeks. Kelly hadn't moved since sitting down. The adrenaline had faded, leaving only crushing reality. His phone buzzed constantly. Tony Russo trying to salvage something. Sponsors officially cutting ties. His social media manager reporting follower counts in freefall. Turn it off, Jackie advised, noticing the phone. Outside noise not important now. Only what's inside matters. Everything I built is gone, Kelly said numbly. Good. Was built on wrong foundation anyway. Now you can build something real. Bobby. Martinez finished packing Earl's gear, shooting suspicious glances at Kelly. Earl, you sure about this? Taking him on. Everyone deserves a chance to make things right, Earl replied. Besides, I was angry young man once too. Someone gave me a second chance in 71. Time to pay it forward. Jackie pulled out a worn business card. Chan's Cleaning Services with a Hong Kong address. This is my real job. When not making movies, I clean. Offices, homes, whatever needs cleaning. Good work. Honest work. He handed it to Kelly. You want to learn? Start here. Every morning, 5 a.m., you clean with me. Learn humility. Learn to serve others. Then afternoon, you work with Earl. Help veterans. Evening, you train, but correctly this time. That's like 18-hour days. Yes, rebuilding character is harder than building muscle. Takes more time. A knock at the door interrupted them. Mike Santana entered hesitantly, face gray with shame. Brock. He stopped, seeing everyone staring. I'm sorry. For the brass knuckles. For everything. It's over for me. No one will hire me after this. Should have thought of that before, Bobby said coldly, but Earl raised a hand. Mike, you made bad choice. But you're here, trying to apologize. That's something. He looked at Jackie, who nodded slightly. Veterans Center needs maintenance work. Minimum wage, hard labor. You interested? Mike's eyes widened. After what I did. You trust me. Trust is earned. But opportunity to earn it. That should be given freely. Jackie added, cleaning floors very good for soul. I recommend. The room fell quiet. each man processing the strange turn the night had taken. Kelly finally looked up, meeting Earl's eyes directly. "Why?" he asked. "Why forgive me? I humiliated you, hurt you, disrespected everything you stand for." Earl's answer was simple. "Because hate is heavy, son. Carried it for years after the war. Nearly killed me. Not the enemy, but my own anger. Annie taught me to put it down. Now I'm teaching you. Besides," Jackie interjected with a slight smile, "you think you first angry young fighter I meet? I work with Sammo Hung for 40 years. He make you look calm." Despite everything, Kelly almost smiled. "I don't deserve this." "No," Earl agreed. "But grace isn't about deserving. It's about need. And you need this more than you know." The doctor finished his work, nurses cleaned up supplies, and gradually the room emptied except for the four men, who'd found themselves bound by the strangest of circumstances. "So," Kelly asked quietly, "when do we start?" "Already started," Jackie replied. "Moment you chose Earl's hand over brass knuckles. Everything else is just details." 6 months later, the Phoenix Veterans Community Center buzzed with activity. The morning sun streamed through windows that sparkled. Kelly had cleaned them at 5 a.m., part of his daily routine that began with Jackie 4 hours earlier. "Keep your guard up, Martinez," Kelly called out, coaching a young Marine through pad work. "But remember, defense isn't about fear. It's about creating opportunities." The transformation was remarkable. Gone was the mohawk and flashy gear. Kelly wore a simple gym t-shirt and old sweatpants. His social media, once full of knockouts and boasts, now featured veteran stories and fundraising campaigns. The follower count was a tenth of what it was, but the engagement was real. Earl watched from his office, really just a converted supply closet, as Kelly worked with the veterans. 6 months ago, they'd wanted to throw him out. Now, he was one of their most requested instructors. "Package for you," Bobby announced, carrying a box covered in international stamps. Inside, DVDs of Jackie's films with handwritten notes on each. "Study the philosophy, not just the fights." The cover letter read in Jackie's careful English. "Each movie has lesson if you look deeper." The letter ended with, "P.S. Saw video of you teaching. Good form. But remember, smile more. Fighting should bring joy, not just sweat." Kelly's professional fighting career had ended that night in the ring. No legitimate promotion would book him after the brass knuckle scandal. But he'd found something else: purpose. "Yo, coach," a young veteran named Rodriguez called out. "That thing you taught me about redirecting energy? Used it at the grocery store. Some drunk got aggressive. Sent him stumbling into a cereal display instead of fighting." Everyone laughed. Situation defused. "That's the point," Kelly replied. "Best fight is the one that ends with laughter, not blood." His phone rang, a reminder about the afternoon session at the VA hospital. Twice a week, he taught wheelchair-bound veterans adaptive self-defense. His MMA skills, modified for limited mobility, gave them confidence and agency. The gym's wall displayed photos from the past 6 months. Kelly and Earl at veterans events. Mike Santana teaching kids classes, having proven himself through months of manual labor. A framed still from that night. Jackie's disappointed face as he held the brass knuckles, signed, "Remember this." Feeling. Use it to stay humble. JC. Local news wants to do a story, Earl mentioned, joining Kelly as he prepped for the next class. 6 months since the fight. Redemption angle. Not interested, Kelly replied immediately. "This isn't about my redemption. It's about them." He nodded toward the veterans' training. "Besides, redemption isn't a story. It's daily choice." Earl smiled. "Jackie taught you well. You both did." Kelly's bank account was nearly empty. His Mercedes had been sold to fund the center's new equipment. The designer clothes were gone, replaced by secondhand gym wear. But watching Rodriguez, who'd come in 6 months ago angry and suicidal, teaching another veteran the redirection technique, Kelly felt richer than he'd ever been. "Hey," a new arrival said hesitantly. "Are you the guy from that fight? The one who went after the old vet?" Kelly's jaw tightened, but he nodded. "Yeah, that was me. I saw the whole video. What you did was fucked up." The man paused. "But what you did after? My brother says you've been helping at the VA. Says you're different now." "Trying to be," Kelly admitted. "Think you could teach me? I got anger issues too. Since I got back. Keep starting fights. First lessons free." Kelly said, extending his hand. But I gotta warn you, we start by cleaning the gym. Humility before ability. The man grinned. Whatever works. As they walked toward the equipment, Earl watched with satisfaction. The cycle Jackie started was continuing, one cleaned heart. At a time point 1 year later, the Phoenix Veterans Memorial Coliseum hosted Fight for Heroes 2. But this time, everything was different. Instead of a single exhibition, the event featured seminars, demonstrations, and panels about respect, redemption, and the true meaning of strength. Kelly stood before a packed auditorium, no longer the cocky fighter, but a humbled teacher. Beside him, Earl sat in his coaching chair, legs still troublesome but spirit undaunted. On the massive screen behind them played footage from that night, not glorifying the violence, but showing the transformation that followed. I stand here today not proud of who I was, Kelly began, his voice steady despite the emotion, but grateful for who I'm becoming. A year ago, I thought strength meant domination. I thought respect was something you took through force. He paused, finding faces in the crowd, veterans he'd trained, young fighters seeking guidance, families hoping for inspiration. I was wrong. Completely, dangerously wrong. And it took two incredible men to show me that real strength is what you do when you're strong enough to hurt someone and choose not to. The presentation included video testimonials. Rodriguez spoke about overcoming his rage through Kelly's classes. A Gold Star mother thanked them for helping her surviving son find purpose. Mike Santana, now the center's full-time maintenance director and youth coach, talked about second chances. Halfway through, the screen lit up with a familiar face. Jackie Chan, filming between takes in Bulgaria, had recorded a message. "Hello, Phoenix." Jackie waved at the camera. "Sorry I cannot be there. Making movie about teacher who helps angry student. Wonder where I get idea." His trademark grin appeared. "Brock, Earl, you show world that redemption is possible. That enemies can become teachers. That violence can become wisdom. Very proud of you both." The message continued. "But remember, journey not over. Every day, choose again. Choose kindness. Choose humility. Choose to build, not destroy." Oh, and Brock, your Wing Chun getting better, but footwork still too wide. Practice more. The audience laughed, tension breaking. Kelly smiled, the first genuine smile many had seen from him. $600,000. Earl announced when the video ended. "That's what we've raised this year for veterans' mental health programs. Not through fighting, through teaching, through building community, through choosing better." A young fighter in the audience stood up. "Mr. Kelly, I got a question. My coach says I need to be meaner, more aggressive. Says nice guys don't win championships. What do you think?" Kelly considered carefully. "A year ago, I'd have agreed with your coach. Now, I say this, you can win fights through aggression. But what do you win? Belts that gather dust? Highlights that glorify violence? I had those things. They meant nothing when I had no character." He gestured to Earl. "This man has more real victories than I'll ever have. Not because of fights he won, but because of lives he saved. People he helped. That's the championship that matters." Another hand raised. "But what about self-defense? Sometimes violence is necessary, right?" "Absolutely," Kelly agreed. "But there's a difference between a warrior and a bully. Warriors protect. Bullies dominate. Learn to fight so you don't have to. Train for strength so you can be gentle. That's what Mr. Chan taught me. Every technique has two faces. Which one you show reveals who you are." The event concluded with a demonstration. Kelly and Earl performed choreographed sequences showing defensive techniques, de-escalation tactics, and the philosophy behind each movement. No winners or losers, just teachers sharing knowledge. As people filed out, many stopped to shake hands, share stories, or sign up for classes. A young boy approached with his veteran father. "Are you really the bad guy from the video?" the boy asked. Kelly knelt to eye level. "I was. But you know what? Even bad guys can choose to be good. It's never too late to change." The boy considered this. Like Darth Vader. Exactly like Darth Vader. As the arena emptied, Earl clapped Kelly on the shoulder. "Proud of you, son." "I'm just trying to earn it," Kelly replied. "Every day. That's all any of us can do." The story came full circle in Detroit, 2 years after that transformative night in Phoenix. A small veterans center on the east side. Nothing fancy, converted storefront with faded paint and bars on the windows. Inside, Young men and women trained on donated equipment, learning to channel their anger into something constructive. Marcus Tank Thompson, fresh from the amateur MMA circuit, had arrived to teach a masterclass. 22 years old, undefeated in 8 fights, social media following growing by the day. He strutted through the gym like he owned it, live streaming everything. "Check this place out," he told his phone. "About to show these old heads how real fighters train. They got some Vietnam vet running this place. Probably gonna teach me some ancient kung fu bullshit." The veteran in question, Ray Washburn, 71 years old with shrapnel scars across his neck, emerged from the office. He moved carefully, favoring his right side where a Viet Cong mine had left permanent damage in 1968. "Mr. Thompson, thanks for coming. The young people are excited too." Yeah. Tank cut him off, pushing past. "Where's the ring? I don't got all day." In the corner, an elderly janitor slowly mopped the floors. Asian features, weathered face, humming quietly to himself. His coveralls read, "Kim's Cleaning," in faded letters. Tank didn't give him a second glance. The demonstration began poorly and got worse. Tank showed no respect for the gym's rules, ignored safety protocols, went hard during what was supposed to be light sparring with the veterans. When Ray tried to intervene, Tank shoved him. "Stay in your lane, Grandpa. This is how real fighters train." Ray stumbled, his bad leg giving out. He went down hard, hand clutching his neck where the old scars throbbed. Several veterans moved to help, but Tank blocked their path. "Nah, let him get up himself. That's what warriors do, right?" He turned to his camera. These old dudes always talking about their war stories. Probably drove a supply truck or something. The janitor set down his mop. "Excuse me," he said softly, approaching the group. "You should help him. He is hurt." Tank spun around, saw the old Asian man, and laughed. "Another grandpa? This place is like a nursing home. Mind your business, Mr. Miyagi." But the janitor was already kneeling beside Ray, checking his vitals with practiced efficiency. He helped the veteran sit up, examined his neck with careful fingers. "You okay?" he asked Ray quietly. "I'll live," Ray managed. "Been through worse." The janitor stood, turning to face Tank. Something in his posture had changed, subtle but unmistakable. "You want to fight, old man? I am old man too." Tank's crew laughed, cameras rolling. This was perfect content, about to go viral for sure. "You serious right now?" Tank flexed for the cameras. Whatever. Someone get Gramps some gloves before he breaks a hip." The janitor removed his coveralls with deliberate calm. Underneath, a faded t-shirt revealed a frame that spoke of decades of training. He helped Ray to a chair, then walked to the ring with a stride that no longer shuffled. "My English not so good," the janitor said, stretching slowly. "But I try to teach. You, ready to learn?" Tank was already throwing combinations at air, showing off for his followers. "Yeah, teach me how to take naps and eat pudding. This is gonna be hilarious." In the corner, one of the younger veterans squinted at the janitor. "Yo, doesn't he look familiar?" "Nah," another replied. "All old Asian dudes look the same to you." But Ray, despite his pain, was staring with growing recognition. The way the man moved, the quiet confidence, the specific way he'd checked for injuries. "No way," Ray whispered. The janitor climbed through the ropes with surprising agility. Tank was still playing to the cameras, throwing mock punches. "Someone call an ambulance." "But not for me." "Young man," the janitor said patiently. "You sure you want this?" Still time to apologize to Mr. Ray. "Only thing I'm sorry about is that this is going to be too easy." The janitor sighed, a lifetime of similar encounters in that single breath. He settled into a stance that was both completely relaxed and perfectly balanced. "Okay, we begin. But remember, you asked for lesson." Tank charged forward, streaming live to thousands of viewers who were about to witness something they'd never forget. In the corner, Ray smiled through his pain, recognizing what was about to unfold. The cycle Jackie Chan had started in Phoenix was about to begin again. One more young fighter about to learn the difference between strength and cruelty, between a warrior and a bully. History, as it often does in places where wisdom meets arrogance, was about to repeat itself. If you like the story, please watch another story on our channel and subscribe to the channel.